Namaste. Welcome to the Everyday Thought of the Speaker's Yoga Diary, Volume 2, Day 84. Listeners, the previous video, 83, had an abrupt ending because of the failure of a net. Let's continue the discussion. The speaker was talking about the awareness of the body. And he was saying that the body has a language, but the language cannot have a code. It doesn't have a code like any other human language. But the body communicates every feeling, every emotion, every sensation in silence. All that you need to do is to listen to those emotions, feelings, and sensations in silence. Silence has the power. It has a tremendous power to communicate. Language has its own limitation. Language can represent something, some object, some feeling, some idea. But understanding goes beyond the language. Understanding takes place in silence. In silence, the understanding becomes deeper and deeper, much more than what happens on the periphery of the language. Therefore, when the speaker says that the body has a language, it doesn't carry any code, but it expresses every feeling, every emotion, every piece of sensation in silence. And you need to listen to that only in silence. Then you will see that there is a tremendous change taking place in your body because there is a communication between you and the body. And this communication is happening in silence. And a change takes place in that state of communication. And this change brings a transformation in your biology. And of course, it affects your psychology, your mind. And the discipline springs from that. Any discipline that comes from within stays for long. But the discipline that comes from outside will not stay with you because you resist. Your body resists. Your mind resists. Because it comes from outside. Anything that comes from outside, the system will not accept immediately. It's for this reason that when we work in an institution, we work there, accept the discipline, accept the rules and regulations of such an institution, not out of liking, not out of interest, but out of compulsion. The compulsion here is survival. You need to survive in this world, therefore, you accept the norms of that institute. If you don't accept, then you're out. Therefore, you have to compromise yourself with the institution. You have to accept the rules and regulations of that institute. Here, the compulsion plays an important role. When you accept some discipline outside, you are accepting it out of compulsion, out of certain extraneous reasons. One reason being that you want to survive in this world. To survive in this world, you have to accept, you have to forego and accept something. And therefore, as long as you are in that institute, you accept those rules. But the moment you come out, you throw away all that. You have your own life. Therefore, the speaker is saying that any discipline that comes from outside is not acceptable to this body or to this whole system. But the discipline that springs from within is acceptable. It stays there. It stays forever as long as you live in this world. And it carries a permanent value because it is with you, because it has come from within and you like it. You love that such a discipline and you live in it. So, this is what happens when you listen to your body in silence, when you turn your attention to your body. And when you turn your attention to your body, as the speaker has said, a sort of communication takes place between you and the body. And that communication is in silence. So, in silence, everything transpires. And this is what is known as awareness. The awareness of the body brings in many changes. Similarly, the awareness of mind. Now, this awareness of mind is nothing but becoming conscious of what is happening inside your skull. The thoughts keep streaming. They come like clouds. There is no order in the thoughts. Oh, you keep jumping from one thought to another, and you will not find any kind of sequence between the thoughts. It is very chaotic. But you are totally indifferent to that process. You are allowing such a process to happen within you. Therefore, you undergo the pain and misery. You undergo the stress and strain. But the moment you turn to yourself and look into the mind and see what is happening there, then you become a watcher, a silent spectator. You become a silent spectator watching the entire thought process in silence, not interpreting, not passing any judgment, not commenting on such thoughts, not just stopping the thoughts with force, but you just become a silent spectator. You just watch the thoughts. Then you will see some transformation taking place. Even if an ill thought arises, a bad thought arises, don't stop it, but watch it. The moment you watch such a thought, such a bad thought will go automatically. It will disappear because you are not meddling with such a thought. And therefore, it goes off on its own. The moment you start meddling with such a thought, stopping it by force, stopping it with an effort, then the conflict arises between you as a silent spectator and such a bad thought. All that you need to do is to remain a silent spectator. Watch the entire the process of thinking, the stream of thoughts happening. You are not a commentator, you are not an interpreter. You are not going to be a critic of that. You are not an evaluator. You are not going to evaluate this thought is good, that thought is good. But you just remain as a silent spectator there, watching the entire process in silence, without commenting, without interpreting, without passing judgment. And then there arises an awareness. This is called awareness. Awareness that is happening within you. And this is what is needed now. Because all the time we are turning our attention to the outside world, to the objects outside. And the objects create so much sensation. And the sensations in turn create desires. And you want to possess those desires. You want to realize those desires by hook or crook. So you invest your effort, you invest your energy, time to realize such desires. And so you run here and there. All that is happening. We know that. But we don't want to pay any attention to that. When you become stressful, when you enter into depression, then you run here and there. You go to this psychiatrist, that psychiatrist, this therapist, or that therapist. You go to some guru in order to get out of that stress. But everything lies with you. It is there with you. All that you need to do is to watch. When the speaker says, turn your attention to your mind, it doesn't mean that you should stop such thoughts forcibly. But have you ever stopped a while and looked at your own thoughts, at your own thinking? Then you will see a difference in your behavior. You will not indulge in such thoughts that cause a lot of disturbance to you. The thoughts will go on their own. You will understand the root cause of such a thought. Why is it happening to you? So you go to the root of it. It happens because you indulge in experiences outside in the world. Therefore, all those experiences turn into thoughts, and those thoughts get stored in the subconscious state. So thinking happens. Thinking takes place because of the presence of thoughts. Thought is nothing but the experience that is already done and finished. There is no thinking without thought. Thinking takes place with thoughts. If there are no thoughts, there is no thinking. This is the link, relationship between thought and thinking. Thinking takes place in the present, but thought is of the past. And such a thinking in the present cannot take place without the help of the thoughts. And every thought is a past. It is a finished action, it is a finished experience. Therefore, when the speaker says that turn your attention to your mind, he means that you need to be an eternal spectator. You need to exercise that constant vigilance, care, attention. Then you will see the change taking place within you. As the speaker has already said, such a change takes place in the body when you turn your attention to it, and such a change takes place only in silence. That silence is what is required here now. Watching in silence, watching every thought in silence, watching your thinking in silence, watching your body, all those emotions, feelings, and sensations that come out of this body. You all that you need to do in your life, in your living, is to just remain a silent spectator. When you become a silent spectator, you become an introvert because you constantly watch your body, your mind. You will never allow this body and mind to move out unnecessarily and indulge in actions. So, such is the power of watching. So, when this happens, when this watching takes place, watching in silence takes place, that watching in silence is what is known as awareness. Then awareness builds up, it grows, it expands. As the time goes, this awareness expands, it enlarges, it grows. Then you become the awareness. The awareness is you. What you are then, you are only an awareness within the code. And this is what is needed now, that you need to become simply an awareness, nothing else. Thank you very much. Namaskar.